Hi, welcome to FinFlow Podcast. This is the deep dive. Today we're tackling a really fascinating topic, one that honestly promises to be a powerful reality check for a lot of us. It's called 15 Signs You Might Be Financially Struggling and What It Really Means. Our mission, really, for this deep dive is to unpack some pretty blunt but incredibly insightful ideas about financial well being. We're going beyond just the numbers in your bank account to explore what being poor, or let's say financially struggling, truly signifies. We'll look at areas in your life where there might be, room for improvement. And most importantly, the goal here is to inspire you, to inspire action. This isn't about judgment at all. It's about clarity, it's about empowerment. So let's dive into some pretty profound insights about modern living and some maybe surprising indicators of where you stand, not just financially, but emotionally too, and in terms of your overall life path. Some of these ideas, fair warning, they might hit you like a ton of bricks, but they're genuinely meant to light a fire under you.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's truly striking, I think, is how these points, they really do extend far beyond just the monetary figures, right? They dig deep into your mindset, the lifestyle choices you're making every single day, maybe without even thinking about it, and even into that fundamental concept of personal accountability. Where does the buck stop, so to speak? This deep dive, it offers a really unique lens. It kind of urges us all towards critical thinking rather than just, nodding along with existing beliefs. It's a really valuable chance to genuinely understand the subtle, sometimes hidden, but incredibly powerful forces at play in our everyday lives, the things shaping our financial realities and ultimately our future potential.
Okay, let's get into it then. First section, the foundations of financial resilience. And kicking us off here is a concept we're calling the 3-month rule. Now, this isn't just about how much money you earn. Forget the income level for a second. This is a really profound measure of the protection, the buffer you've built against, well, worst case scenarios, the core idea. It's simple on the surface, but incredibly revealing.
Mhm.
It asks, if you were to stop working today, like right now, this minute, could you maintain your current lifestyle for at least 3 months with zero new income coming in? Just thinking about that question, for many people, it's truly eye-opening. It lays bare just how fragile their economic stability might actually be. It kind of forces you to confront the real architecture of your financial life.
It really does. And it prompts an essential question for absolutely everyone, regardless of their income bracket.
Yeah.
How many individuals, seriously, whether someone's earning, say, a modest $60,000 a year, or maybe a high flyer bringing in $10 million, how many genuinely have that kind of 3-month buffer? The blunt reality. Often it's far fewer than we might imagine or like to think. It really underscores a universal vulnerability because those fixed expenses, the mortgage, the rent, car payments, insurance, subscriptions, utilities, the basic cost of living, they ultimately dictate the true cost of your chosen lifestyle. They don't care how much you earn. They just need paying. So this isn't solely about accumulating vast sums of wealth down the line. It's fundamentally about securing your present reality. It's about creating a robust shield against life's inevitable curveballs, job loss, illness, family emergency, you name it.
Right, because those fixed expenses, they don't just vanish if the paychecks stop.
Exactly. They don't just disappear. You've likely built up these obligations over time. And this principle applies universally. Your income level, while obviously important, it doesn't automatically exempt you from the weight of these commitments. A stark lack of this 3-month cushion, it leaves you incredibly fragile, acutely susceptible to unforeseen events. Think about the emotional and psychological toll of that fragility. It's immense. Living constantly with the knowledge that your economic stability could just crumble in a matter of weeks. That generates profound stress, anxiety, a pervasive feeling of being perpetually on edge.
Yeah, like walking a tightrope without a net.
Precisely. And think about the knock-on effects. It can severely limit your capacity to take calculated career risks. Maybe you see a great opportunity, but it involves a temporary pay cut, too risky without a buffer. Or pursuing entrepreneurial ideas. Starting something new often means lean times initially, impossible if you're living paycheck to paycheck. It can even affect your ability to negotiate better terms in your current job because you're always operating from a position of vulnerability, of needing that next check now. You lack leverage.
That's incredibly powerful. It really forces you to look at the actual structure, the setup of your financial world, your personal financial architecture, as you said. So for you listening right now, what does your 3-month number look like? Take a moment, maybe even pause this and do a rough calculation. Average monthly expenses times 3. What is it? It's a direct invitation for personal calculation, a moment of genuine reflection on how robust your current safety net really is. This calculation, it isn't just an academic exercise. It's a crucial first step towards building greater security and ultimately true financial freedom. Knowing the target is step one. Okay, building on that idea of protecting your future, let's explore another often overlooked drain. Not on your money directly, maybe, but on your most valuable resource, your time. Our next sign, and honestly, arguably one of the most insidious, is the hidden cost of your commute. Time as an irreplaceable asset. Well, we hear the saying all the time, time is money, right? But the reality, when you dig into it, is much starker, much more unforgiving. You can always theoretically make more money. There are ways. But you cannot, not yet anyway, buy more time. Once it's gone, it's gone. This isn't about small, manageable inefficiencies in your day. This is about reclaiming huge, irreplaceable chunks of your life that might just be slipping away day after day without you even consciously realizing the true cumulative cost, the core idea. Consistently spending more than 1 hour commuting each way to work each day. That's a significant, undeniable indicator of lost time, lost potential, lost opportunity.
Absolutely. And when we truly connect this to the bigger picture, building a life of purpose and prosperity, we're talking about far more than just wasted hours ticking by on a clock. Imagine the sheer magnitude of those numbers. The source material breaks it down quite starkly. 1 hour there, 1 hour back, that's 2 hours a day. 5 days a week, that's 10 hours a week. 52 weeks a year, that's 520 hours annually. Now, divide 520 hours by 24 hours in a day. What do you get? You get 21.6, basically 21 full days.
21 days, like 3 full weeks of your life every year, just in transit.
Exactly. 21 days. Not just waking hours. 21 full 24-hour days spent commuting. That's nearly an entire month of your life, vanished irrevocably, just moving from point A to point B and back again. And it's not just the physical transit, is it? It's a profound mental and emotional drain, too. It's the constant stress of traffic jams, the frustration of train delays, the sheer lack of any truly productive output during that period, unless you're very disciplined about using that time, maybe. But for most, this relentless grind directly impacts your energy levels when you get to work or when you get home. It affects your capacity for sustained focus, your overall ability to create, to innovate, to problem solve, or just to improve any aspect of your life.
Wow. That really puts it in perspective. The opportunity cost must be enormous.
Huge, often completely unacknowledged. The financially astute, those who genuinely understand the value of leverage, they prioritize their time ruthlessly for growth and wealth creation. They're either strategically choosing jobs closer to home, negotiating remote work, or finding ways to make their commute actively productive. Maybe listening to educational audio, dictating ideas, making important calls if safe. Or they meticulously structure their lives to minimize this lost time altogether. Maybe they pay a bit more rent to live closer, understanding that time saved is worth more. The contrast is stark. These individuals are engaging in productive pursuits that advance their goals, while many others are just sitting in traffic, passively listening to repetitive music, maybe getting increasingly frustrated. So that recaptured time, those 21 days, what could you do with it? Think about it. You could channel that into learning a new, valuable skill that increases your income potential. You could commit to a consistent exercise regimen, boosting your health and energy. You could build a profitable side business in those hours. Or, perhaps most importantly for many, simply enjoy high-quality, present, undistracted time with loved ones. Build those relationships we'll talk about later. Time, unlike money, is the truly irreplaceable asset. Once spent, it's gone forever, making its efficient allocation an absolute cornerstone of financial resilience and, frankly, a well-lived life.
That 21-day figure is truly astonishing. It really reframes how we think about our daily routines, doesn't it? So, take another moment, everyone listening. Genuinely reflect. How much of your precious life is spent in transit each year? What monumental things could you accomplish? What personal or professional growth could you ignite if you effectively reclaimed even half of those, say, 21 days? It's a powerful call to maybe rethink our priorities, perhaps look for ways to strategically restructure our daily lives to better align with our true aspirations. All right, our third sign in this foundational section, this one is perhaps more direct, more undeniable, and often quite painful. It's the burden of unmanageable bills. So what does this all truly mean for your financial reality? Well, simply put, consistently struggling to pay, or being completely unable to afford your regular essential bills. That is straightforward and unequivocal sign of financial instability. Full stop. If you've ever experienced the dread of the lights being cut off, or been unable to make a crucial phone call because your service was suspended, or simply stared at a pile of incoming essential bills knowing you didn't possess the funds to cover them, it serves as a stark, undeniable indicator. Your financial situation urgently needs a serious, comprehensive reevaluation. It's not just an inconvenience, is it? It's a blaring wake-up call that you've likely stretched yourself way too thin, that you're operating beyond your sustainable means.
Exactly. And what's truly fascinating here, maybe even counterintuitive for some, is that this isn't a challenge exclusively reserved for those on low incomes. The source material brings up the high-profile example of Johnny Depp. I mean, here's someone who earned immense sums of money, fortunes by any standard. Yet, at one point, he reportedly found himself struggling with staggering monthly bills. Something like $2 million a month was mentioned. It forced him to liquidate significant possessions, valuable assets, just because he couldn't service his massive monthly obligations.
$2 million a month.
Incredible, right? His story powerfully illustrates the point. Poor financial management, coupled with severe overextension, can impact anyone, regardless of their income level. So this situation, struggling with bills, isn't always about a fundamental lack of funds coming in. It's often about a profound disconnect between earning potential and spending habits. It points to a chronic pattern of living beyond your means, or maybe just a deep-seated lack of understanding about how money truly operates in the world, how to manage it effectively.
So what are the typical underlying causes then, besides just spending too much?
Well, they can be varied, often interconnected. A common culprit, especially at lower income levels, is working a low-paying job, which itself often stems from an insufficient development of valuable, high-demand skills. If you haven't invested the time and effort, maybe using some of that commute time we just talked about, into cultivating a skill set that commands a higher income in the marketplace, you're perpetually fighting an uphill battle against your expenses. Another major and quite insidious factor is misusing the money you do earn, spending it on what the source calls meaningless things, purchases that offer maybe fleeting gratification, a temporary buzz, but contribute absolutely nothing to your long-term wealth, stability, or personal growth.
Like what kind of things?
Well, consider the poignant irony mentioned. Someone proudly carrying the latest, most expensive smartphone, maybe on a costly plan, yet they can't actually make a call because they lack basic service credit or minutes. Or the individual driving a flashy, expensive car, maybe with huge monthly payments and insurance, while they're still living with their parents because they simply can't afford their own place. Rent, deposit, utilities. It's beyond them. These are classic, yet kind of tragic examples of prioritizing status symbols, external validation, immediate gratification over sound financial planning, and genuine asset building.
Right. Getting the priorities mixed up.
Completely. This entire situation, the inability to reliably cover basic bills, demands immediate, unflinching attention. It's a potent wake-up call. It signals the need to not only potentially develop a valuable, marketable skill set that can command a better income, but perhaps even more crucially to gain a deeper, more profound understanding of personal finance. How does money really work? Budgeting, saving, investing, debt management. The fundamentals. It's about building an unshakable foundation for yourself, not just chasing ephemeral desires you can't actually afford.
Okay, that wraps up our first section on foundations. Let's move into section 2, lifestyle choices and their long-term repercussions. And let's start with a concept that often sparks some lively debate, definitely, yet carries significant weight. It's called the discount trap, why saving doesn't always lead to wealth. Let's try and dissect this idea carefully. The core concept here revolves around certain habits. Things like regularly shopping primarily at dollar stores or deep discount outlets, meticulously clipping and using coupons for almost every single purchase, or, and this is maybe the most telling part, buying things on sale just because they're on sale, even when you have no genuine need for them at that moment. Now, let's be absolutely clear up front, there is zero shame in being a budget-conscious shopper. Finding a genuinely good deal on something you actually need, that's unequivocally smart financial behavior. We all do it. However, we need to have a frank conversation about the often overlooked trade-off that frequently comes with a primary focus on cheapness. The blunt truth, as the perspective puts it, is that with little money often comes little quality.
The buy cheap, buy twice idea.
Exactly. Cheap things, often by their very nature, cheaper materials, less robust construction tend to break easily. They wear out quickly, and thus they require constant replacement. This creates an insidious cycle, doesn't it? A cycle of continuous spending rather than actual meaningful savings, or more importantly, wealth accumulation. You're always replacing, not building.
Yeah, this forces us to confront a really fundamental question. What is the actual tangible difference between merely saving money on a purchase and actively building wealth over time? They're not the same thing. The blunt reality presented is quite provocative. Nobody became a billionaire by simply saving money through coupons and discounts alone. Instead, those who achieve true, significant financial prosperity, they focus relentlessly on two key areas: aggressively increasing their income, finding ways to earn more, and meticulously making their existing cash generate more cash for them. Through investing, business building, etc., the deal mentality, while seeming prudent, even virtuous on the surface, often subtly diverts precious resources, both financial resources and, just as importantly, mental energy and focus away from these crucial income-generating and wealth-building activities.
So explain that deal fallacy a bit more. Buying something on sale feels like saving.
It feels like it, but let's break it down. When you purchase an unnecessary item, something you didn't plan to buy, purely because it's marked down, you're not genuinely saving money. You are still actively spending money, often money you didn't intend to spend. And more often than not, you're squandering the limited funds you possess on things that add absolutely no real, lasting value to your life or your long-term financial picture. It just becomes stuff. Clutter. It's also vital to remember companies offering massive discounts. They are not charities. They are still meticulously making a profit, almost always. They've carefully factored those discounts into their overall pricing strategy. You're not really getting one over on them. You're simply participating in a well-designed marketing strategy, expertly engineered to encourage consumption and move inventory.
Right. They still make their margin.
Usually, yes. True wealth, the kind that provides lasting security and freedom, isn't defined by how much you manage to save on a single discounted purchase. It's defined by how effectively you strategically grow your overall financial pie. The genuinely wealthy, or those building wealth, tend to invest in appreciating assets, things that are likely to grow in value or generate income over time. Real estate, stocks, businesses, valuable skills. They're not primarily focused on accumulating a growing pile of discounted consumer items that are destined to quickly lose value or end up in a landfill. It's a fundamental shift in perspective. From prioritizing consumption, even discounted consumption, to prioritizing strategic investment and income generation.
That's a profoundly crucial distinction, a real paradigm shift in how we think about our money and our spending habits. So let me ask you listening, how many times have you walked into a store, maybe lured by a bright red sale sign or an email alert about a flash discount, and you bought an item you didn't truly need, maybe didn't even particularly want until you saw the price cut, simply because it was presented as an irresistible great deal? Take a moment, be honest with yourself. Where could that money have been allocated instead? Maybe towards building that essential 3-month buffer we talked about earlier, or investing in a course to learn that new skill, or even just making a strategic extra payment on some high-interest debt. The opportunity cost, when you add it up over time, can be immense. Okay, next up in lifestyle choices, we have fast food as a staple, the hidden cost to your health and productivity. Now, the core idea here isn't about the occasional indulgence. Let's be real. We've all grabbed a quick burger or pizza when we're busy or tired. That's normal life. This is about when fast food becomes an acceptable everyday dinner option, when it becomes the default choice rather than the exception. Let's get into why this is so critical beyond just the obvious health aspects. Nutrition. It isn't just a buzzword for health nuts, it's the literal, fundamental fuel for the incredible, complex machine you call your body and your brain. It profoundly impacts everything, from your capacity for clear, creative thinking and complex problem solving to your sustained energy levels throughout the day and even your mood and emotional regulation. This goes way beyond just convenience.
Absolutely. And when we connect this to the bigger picture, your overall life trajectory, your ability to succeed, to achieve your goals, your physical state directly dictates your cognitive performance and your capacity for peak achievement. You can't separate them. A consistently unhealthy diet, one dominated by processed, nutrient-poor fast food, inevitably leads to a decline in productivity over time. It leads to slower decision-making processes, more brain fog, and it contributes to a pervasive underperformance in virtually all aspects of life, whether that's professional challenges or personal relationships and responsibilities. There is an undeniable, profound connection between what you choose to put into your body and your fundamental ability to improve your reality, to operate at your best.
It's like trying to run a high-performance car on low-grade fuel. Eventually, it just sputters.
Exactly that. And beyond the fleeting appeal of convenience, the few minutes saved,
There's a vast, rich world of food that extends far, far beyond the drive-through window. This point emphasizes the profound importance of learning basic cooking skills. And not just for the sake of personal health, though that's huge. It's also about the deeply enriching experience of preparing and, perhaps even more importantly, sharing nourishing meals with loved ones. It fosters connection, creates memories, builds tradition. The act of eating, and critically, what you choose to eat consistently, can serve as a significant indicator of your overall well-being. It reflects your level of self-care, your foresight, your fundamental approach to life itself. Are you consistently prioritizing your health, your long-term vitality, your cognitive sharpness, investing in yourself? Or are you habitually opting for the quickest, easiest, but ultimately detrimental option because it requires less effort right now? It's a genuine reflection of how much you truly value your physical and mental machinery, the very tools you depend on to build a better life for yourself and for those around you. The cumulative effect of these daily dietary choices on your long-term health, energy, mental clarity, it really cannot be overstated.
It's a truly powerful point. It prompts us to look much deeper than just the immediate satisfaction of a quick, easy meal. So consider this. What is the true long-term cost of convenience in your dietary choices? Is that fast food genuinely fueling your success, providing sustained energy and mental clarity, or is it subtly, insidiously hindering it, draining your vitality and focus without you even fully realizing the slow erosion that's happening day by day? Now, let's turn to a couple of points that are, well, deeply emotional. They speak volumes about financial struggle, especially when you have a family, when you have children depending on you. This is the parental burden, when financial struggles impact a child's happiness and future. Oh, so what does this mean on a very personal gut level? The core ideas here are twofold, and both are deeply affecting for any parent. First, sign number 6 in the list. Having to endure that heartbreaking moment of saying no to your child for an average-priced toy or a school trip or some simple experience, not because you don't want them to have it, but because you simply couldn't afford it. The money wasn't there. And second, sign number 7. Carrying the profound and constant fear that your current life circumstances, your struggles, will negatively affect your child's fundamental chances of success and happiness in the future. That they'll inherit your limitations. These are deeply emotional points. They resonate profoundly, I think, with many parents, maybe even keeping them up at night. And let's be clear, this isn't about spoiling your children. We all know that's a separate discussion about parenting philosophies, about entitlement versus gratitude. This is about the profound, heartbreaking feeling of your financial limitations directly impacting their simple happiness in the present and potentially casting a shadow over their long-term trajectory into the future.
Absolutely. And what's truly illuminating here is how being poor or financially constrained transcends mere financial statements. It encompasses profound emotional and psychological burdens, especially for parents. The innate, almost primal desire of nearly every parent is to provide their child with a better life, with more opportunities, fewer struggles, a smoother path than they themselves experience. It's deeply ingrained. So the fear of not doing enough, or the terrifying prospect that your current struggles, your anxieties, your limitations will somehow become an ingrained part of their own life's journey, that can be an incredibly powerful, albeit often painful, motivator for change.
That weight of responsibility must be immense.
It is. These parental aspirations and responsibilities, they weigh incredibly heavily on the hearts and minds of caregivers. You yearn for your child to experience joy and happiness. And the raw pain of knowing that financial lack, or sometimes even a perceived lack of effort on your part, could potentially take that away from them. It can be truly devastating. It can feel like failure. There's often a constant internal struggle, worrying deeply that you aren't doing enough, sacrificing enough, achieving enough to ensure your child has the absolute best possible shot at life. The ultimate goal here, as the source emphasizes, isn't necessarily to lavish them with material possessions or shield them from all difficulty. It's more about providing them with the essential tools, education, stability, confidence, providing unwavering support, and pointing them in the right direction so they can achieve both success and profound happiness, hopefully without having to struggle just to overcome your reality as an inherent part of their own starting point. It's about breaking negative cycles and building positive foundations for them.
So what's the call to action then, if you feel that fear, that burden?
Well, the crucial call to action that emerges from this profound emotional insight is not to succumb to panic or despair or resignation. That doesn't help anyone. Instead, you are urged to harness this feeling. Harness this deep parental love, this fear, this fierce desire for your child's well-being. and use it as an incredibly powerful, focused motivator. Use it to push yourself to fundamentally improve your circumstances for their sake. Let that deep, unconditional parental love be the unwavering fuel that drives you to make significant, lasting, positive changes in your own life. Because their future is, in many ways, intertwined with the choices you make today.
Wow, okay. Moving into our third section now. Self-control, environment, and setting your standards. Let's dive into what might seem, again, like a very small, almost trivial detail on the surface, but it speaks to a much larger foundational picture. This is about basic necessities and maintaining a clean presence. The core idea here highlights the subtle yet telling sign of not consistently having clean underwear and clean socks available to wear every single day. Let's unpack this for a second. These might indeed seem like incredibly minor details, maybe almost too basic to even mention in a deep dive on financial well-being. Who worries about socks? But they are, in fact, fundamental essentials, absolute basics of personal care and readiness. And as the underlying philosophy suggests, a persistent inability to manage even these most basic aspects of personal care. It points towards living below a certain basic standard of personal self-respect, organization, and just fundamental readiness to face the world each day.
Mhm. It really prompts an important question, doesn't it, about personal hygiene, and its often underestimated yet profound impact. Not just on how you feel about yourself, your self-perception, but also, crucially, on how others perceive you. And perception often shapes opportunity. A clean and presentable appearance, let's be clear, isn't about flaunting expensive brands or wearing the latest designer clothes. Not at all. It is a foundational element of self-respect. And it's often the very first, critical, visible step if you genuinely aspire to escape cycles of struggle and move towards improvement. It profoundly influences your confidence, your self-esteem, and by extension, the kinds of opportunities, social, professional, that you attract into your life or repel.
So it's more than just being clean, it affects your chances.
Absolutely. The implication here goes far beyond simple cleanliness. If you are consistently unable to provide yourself with these basic necessities, clean clothes daily, it strongly suggests a deeper level of maybe disorganization, perhaps significant financial strain that prevents even basic laundry or purchasing essentials, or possibly a lack of fundamental self-care routines. Any of these underlying issues can, and likely will, significantly impact your chances of bettering yourself in both social and professional settings. Think about it. When you present yourself as clean, organized, and basically put together, even in the simplest, most minimalist way, it communicates care. It communicates discipline. It communicates respect, both for yourself and for those you interact with. Conversely, consistently neglecting these fundamental basics, even unintentionally, can convey a lack of self-worth. It might suggest a sense of resignation or even be perceived, however unfairly, as a lack of competence or attention to detail, which can become an undeniable barrier to positive interactions and crucial opportunities like job interviews or networking.
Right. First impressions matter, even down to the basics.
They really do. Therefore, the call to action that emerges from this seemingly small point is simple, yet potentially profoundly impactful. Prioritize maintaining a clean and presentable appearance as a basic, non-negotiable act of self-care. See it as a fundamental, empowering step towards personal improvement. It's a vital investment in your self-image and ultimately in your potential to thrive and be taken seriously.
It's incredible, isn't it? How something so seemingly small and basic can carry such significant weight. How we navigate the world, how we're perceived, and maybe most importantly, how we feel about ourselves deep down. It really is a foundational stone. Okay, our next point in this section is, well, it's stark. It can be uncomfortable to discuss, but it's absolutely vital. It's about true freedom and longevity. The chains of addiction, a threat to freedom and longevity. The core idea here focuses squarely on having an addiction, whether that manifests as smoking cigarettes, excessive drinking, or the use of hard drugs. Let's explore why this is so critical in the context of financial well-being and overall life quality. The underlying philosophy presented here suggests that a truly rich person is, at their absolute core, a free person.
Mm-hmm. Free from external control.
Exactly. It becomes almost irrelevant how much money you're earning, how many assets you manage to accumulate if something else fundamentally controls you, if you're not in the driver's seat of your own life. Addiction, in any of its myriad, insidious forms, becomes a modern-day form of slavery. It dictates your choices, it consumes your resources, both your financial resources and your deeply personal resources like time, energy, health, focus, and ultimately, it robs you of your autonomy, your freedom.
Yeah, and when we truly connect this to the broader picture of living a fulfilling and prosperous life, it is fundamentally about maintaining complete control over your own life. your choices, your actions, your future. Addictions unequivocally lead to significant, often devastating health risks. We all know this. They drastically reduce your potential life expectancy, and maybe even more importantly, they diminish your fundamental ability to enjoy life to its fullest potential while you're here. This isn't merely about financial poverty, although addictions are often incredibly expensive drains on resources. It's also a profound poverty of time and health. It potentially costs you decades of a healthy, vibrant, and fulfilling life, irrespective of the balance in your bank account at any given moment. What good is money if you're too sick or not around to enjoy it or use it meaningfully?
Decades. That's a sobering thought. What are the other consequences?
Well, they're wide-ranging and deeply profound. Obviously severe, often irreversible health risks. Cancer, liver disease, heart problems, brain damage, the list goes on. There's a pervasive loss of control over your decisions, your daily actions, your future trajectory. The addiction starts calling the shots. And inevitably, a drastically reduced quality and length of life. You're not living fully, and you're likely not living as long. It's no secret statistically that those who achieve significant financial success often, though certainly not always, live longer, healthier lives. This is partly due to better access to health care, sure, but it's also often due to the cumulative effect of making healthier choices over a lifetime: less smoking, moderate drinking, better diet, more exercise. Choices often made possible by discipline and foresight. The insight here emphasizes that while the days of, literal physical overt slavery may largely be behind us in those parts of the world, your life can still be subtly yet powerfully controlled by chemicals, by ingrained compulsive habits, or even by companies that, frankly, work tirelessly and spend billions to keep you in a state of dependency on their products, whether it's tobacco, alcohol, or processed foods.
So even smoking is a form of this slavery.
From this perspective, yes. Even something as seemingly normalized for some as regular smoking significantly elevates your health risks and subtly controls behavior patterns and finances. And of course, the impact of excessive drinking or hard drugs is exponentially more severe and destructive. Life, as presented here, should be fun. It should be beautiful. It should be lived to its absolute fullest potential. And to truly achieve that, you ideally want to live as long as possible, in the healthiest state you reasonably can, so you can savor every moment, every experience, for as long as it lasts. Giving away that intrinsic freedom, that precious health, that irreplaceable time for a temporary, fleeting fix offered by an addiction, it's a grave disservice to your future self. It's a profound betrayal of your potential.
That's a truly sobering thought, isn't it? The idea of a poverty of time and health, where your most precious assets are just slowly, steadily eroded by a habit or a substance. Take a genuine moment, everyone listening. Reflect honestly. Are there any habits, maybe even ones that seem small or socially acceptable, that might be subtly controlling aspects of your life? Habits that are insidiously impacting your long-term well-being, your finances, and your fundamental freedom. It's a critical, honest self-assessment. And acknowledging it can be the first step towards reclaiming your autonomy. Okay, finally, in this section on self-control and environment, we turn our attention to how our immediate physical surroundings can actually reflect our internal state and the standards we hold. This is your environment as a mirror, home and car reflections. The core ideas here are twofold, and again, maybe a bit provocative. First, the subtle yet potentially telling sign that your house consistently smells funny. Musty, stale, unkempt, often indicating neglect, poor cleaning habits, or a generally less than ideal living environment. Second, the reality of driving a car that is, say, 10 plus years old. A car that frequently requires constant, costly maintenance and often lacks crucial modern safety features that newer cars take for granted. So what does this all mean for our understanding of financial struggle, or maybe more accurately, mindset? Our immediate surroundings, our homes where we live, our vehicles that carry us, they are far more than just mere possessions or functional objects. They can be powerful, tangible reflections of our mindset. They reflect the standards we consciously or unconsciously accept for ourselves. And they might even reflect the inherent potential we truly believe we possess or lack.
What's truly compelling here is the undeniable, strong link that often exists between your immediate physical environment and your personal potential, your trajectory. Living in a neglected space, cluttered, dirty, disorganized, or habitually associating primarily with people who don't prioritize improvement, growth, or maintaining their own environments. This can subtly, yet powerfully, reinforce a cycle of stagnation. It normalizes mediocrity. This is precisely where that profound concept, often quoted, comes into sharp focus. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I'd extend that to say, you're also influenced by the places you spend the most time in. If your immediate surroundings, including the people you frequent, the places you hang out, your own home, consistently reflect low standards, neglect, or a lack of aspiration, it becomes incredibly challenging psychologically to elevate your own aspirations and standards significantly above that baseline.
It sort of drags you down to the common denominator.
It can, subconsciously. The insight shared is quite blunt, maybe even provocative. It suggests that when you are in an environment where properties are neglected, maybe things are generally run down or suck, as the perspective puts it, quite frankly, there's a subconscious tendency that can creep in to think, well, why bother improving mine? Look at everything else around here.
Yeah.
This kind of thinking, the perspective argues, creates a powerful, self-perpetuating barrier to personal upliftment and genuine improvement. It highlights the potent, often subconscious influence of our environment in shaping our drive, our standards, and our perceived limitations.
Okay, and what about the car, the 10-plus-year-old car?
Right, the car. While owning a brand new fancy car isn't the goal in itself and can often be a bad financial move, let's look at the flip side. A quality, well-maintained automobile certainly offers enhanced safety, reliability, meaning less stress and fewer unexpected bills, and it expands your horizons for travel, commuting, maybe accessing better opportunities further afield. However, it's absolutely crucial to understand the core financial principle here. A car, for almost everyone, is fundamentally an expense, often a very large one. It is not an asset unless it is directly and consistently income generating, like a vehicle used full-time for ride-sharing or deliveries. Otherwise, it depreciates. It costs money constantly. An old car, particularly one that consistently needs costly repairs, becomes a perpetual drain on both your precious time, dealing with breakdowns, mechanics, and your limited money. And critically, it invariably lacks the advanced safety features, better airbags, stability control, collision avoidance systems that have become standard in newer models and can genuinely save lives.
But the advice isn't just buy a new car, right?
Oh, absolutely not. The prioritization here is absolutely key, and this is a vital takeaway. A car, especially a new or luxury one, is presented as one of the very last things you should consider upgrading when you're trying to improve your financial situation. The initial foundational focus should unequivocally be on improving your mindset, understanding money, setting goals, building discipline, and improving your education or skills to increase your earning potential. These are the true foundational levers for meaningful, lasting change. Fix the inside first, the mindset, the skills, the income potential. Get the 3-month buffer sorted, get out of debt. Once those things are firmly in place, then and only then can you strategically consider upgrading your physical environment and your possessions, like your car, in a way that's sustainable and doesn't put you back into financial jeopardy. First things first.
Right. Fix the foundation before worrying about the paint job. Makes sense. Okay, stepping into our fourth section now. Mindset, accountability, and financial stewardship. And we're going to tackle a concept right off the bat that, well, it often stirs strong feelings. It challenges deeply held beliefs for many. This is the illusion of external rescue, self-reliance versus expecting government support. Okay. The core idea here revolves around the expectation, or maybe the hope, that the government will fundamentally take care of you after retirement, or, more broadly, that it's the government's job to solve your personal, individual financial problems. Let's try and unpack this carefully. This is a point that frequently generates strong reactions depending on one's political leanings or personal experiences. But it directly challenges a fundamental assumption many people hold about personal responsibility and where true, lasting success ultimately originates.
It really compels us to ask an incredibly important, maybe even uncomfortable question. Whose ultimate primary responsibility is your financial success and your overall well-being throughout your life? The perspective shared here is quite clear. Political machines, governments, by their very nature and scale, are primarily designed to deal with the masses. With broad societal issues, infrastructure, defense, setting regulations, not necessarily with the unique circumstances, ambitions, and individual needs of every single person within that society. While governments certainly play a vital role in enacting broad policies, providing social safety nets, addressing collective societal needs, your individual success, your personal financial independence should not, and indeed cannot, hinge solely or primarily on which politicians are in power or on constantly shifting government programs or rules. That's seen as a fundamentally unstable foundation.
So it shifts the focus back to the individual.
Fundamentally, it shifts accountability squarely back to you. The implication presented is quite stark, even uncompromising. It suggests that relying primarily on external forces, be it politicians changing laws in your favor, specific government programs perfectly aligning with your needs, or even just waiting for the broader economy to magically lift you up for your personal success. Well, it implies that you don't truly deserve that success in the deepest sense. True, profound, earned success, according to this definition, comes through consistent individual effort, through unwavering initiative, through personal ingenuity, problem-solving, and resilience. Regardless of the hand you've been dealt initially or the circumstances you were born into, the insight states it directly. The rules of the game might change. Politicians will come and go. Your success should not depend on them, otherwise you don't really deserve it.
That's a strong statement. You don't really deserve it.
It is strong. It's meant to be provocative, I think. To shake up complacency. It's fundamentally about empowering yourself to be the primary, proactive architect of your own future, rather than remaining a passive recipient or even a victim of external circumstances or political tides. It means consciously taking robust control of your financial destiny, making deliberate choices today that will safeguard your tomorrow, building that 3-month buffer yourself, not just hoping a government check will cover it if things go wrong, developing skills and market values, not just waiting for a government job creation program. It's about fundamentally understanding that while societal structures exist and safety nets are important, your personal drive, your resourcefulness, your commitment to learning and self-improvement, these are the most potent and reliable forces for positive change in your own life.
That's a truly powerful challenge to a very common narrative, a narrative of dependence that many of us perhaps grow up with or absorb from our surroundings. So let me ask you listening, where do you personally place the ultimate responsibility for your financial future? Are you actively, deliberately shaping it, making plans, taking action, holding yourself accountable? Or are you perhaps even subconsciously, passively waiting for external factors, a better government, a luckier break, someone else to fix things to perfectly align before you make your move? It's a question that cuts directly to the core of personal agency and proactive living versus reactive hoping. Okay, our next point. This one is highlighted specifically as one of the most significant, most insidious reasons people remain financially struggling, often caught in a perpetual loop they can't seem to escape. It's that debt cycle, the trap of spending before earning. The core idea is that dangerous, pervasive habit of consistently spending money before you actually receive it, primarily through credit cards, loans, lines of credit, leading to a perpetual, exhausting cycle of debt, always robbing Peter to pay Paul, constantly struggling just to pay old obligations, let alone get ahead. Let me tell you, the source material emphasizes this alone of a single habit as one of the main reasons people remain financially struggling for years, sometimes even decades. It speaks to a fundamental misunderstanding of money management, of personal control, and of the true, crushing, long-term impact of consumer debt on your future freedom and potential.
Absolutely. And when we connect this to the bigger picture, think about what's really happening when you go into debt, especially for non-appreciating assets. We're talking about things like that new flat-screen TV, the fancy watch, maybe clothes you don't need, or even most new cars, which, as we know, typically start losing value the moment you drive them off the lot. Using debt for these, it essentially means you are pre-selling your future time and your future effort. You're making a promise against work you haven't even done yet. The money you're about to earn next week, next month, maybe even next year. The hard work you'll have to put in over those coming weeks, months, or years. It already belongs to the creditor before you even lift a finger to earn it.
Wow. Pre-selling your future time? That's a heavy way to put it.
It is, but it's accurate from this perspective. The insight puts it starkly. The moment you use your credit card to buy something that doesn't generate a positive return, all the work you're about to do, all the time you put in, and all the hard work belongs to the company or individual you credited from. They own your time until you pay them back, often with significant interest added on top. This isn't just about a simple financial obligation on a spreadsheet. It's portrayed as a profound, often unseen form of modern debt slavery, where your future labor, your precious hours, your life energy are already committed, already owned, simply to repay past consumption choices. Money, in this more enlightened perspective being presented, should primarily be used for protection, for building security, protecting your health, paying for good food, healthcare, protecting your comfort, a safe, stable place to live, protecting your chosen lifestyle within your means, even protecting your peace of mind and happiness, reducing financial stress. It shouldn't primarily be used for immediate, fleeting gratification on things that don't generate any positive financial return and don't contribute to your long-term security, especially if you have to borrow to get them.
And that struggle to pay old debts, it just keeps you stuck.
Right. Exactly. The constant, relentless struggle of having to allocate a significant chunk of every paycheck just to service old debts. It creates a massive drag, like trying to swim upstream with weights tied to your ankles. It prevents you from making any real leap forward financially. You're always playing this tiring, stressful game of catch-up, never truly getting ahead, never building real momentum towards savings or investments. The solution, while undoubtedly challenging, is presented as clear and absolutely crucial. The first non-negotiable step is to aggressively, systematically get rid of all existing high-interest consumer debt. Make a plan. Stick to it. This needs to be followed by a firm, unwavering commitment to stop incurring new debt for non-essential, non-appreciating items. Just stop the bleeding. This will be difficult, no question. It requires immense discipline. It requires a profound shift in mindset away from instant gratification. And often, it requires significant short-term sacrifice, cutting back drastically, maybe taking on extra work. But the perspective argues it will be incredibly rewarding in the long run because it means breaking free from a cycle that relentlessly robs you of your future earnings, your peace of mind, and most critically, your financial autonomy and freedom.
That analogy of a creditor owning your time until the debt is paid. That's incredibly potent. Frankly, it's a little chilling when you think about it that way. So how many times have you listening found yourself saying, maybe sighing, if only I could just get ahead, while perhaps in the next breath, simultaneously reaching for a credit card for something you don't genuinely need right now? Ask yourself, are you truly working for your past purchases, still paying for things you bought months or years ago? Or are you strategically working to build your future? It's a critical distinction that really defines your financial path forward. Okay, to round out this section on mindset and stewardship, we're looking at something that touches on ethics and integrity in our increasingly digital world. This is the ethics of resource use, integrity in a digital age. The core idea here touches on behaviors like, well, illicitly obtaining Wi-Fi from a neighbor, maybe tampering with an electricity meter, using hacked cable boxes, or routinely using torrent sites to download movies, music, or software without paying for them. So what does this all mean for developing a truly prosperous mindset? This might seem like a minor point to some people, maybe even a clever hack or sticking it to the man for others who believe they're outsmarting the system. However, the perspective here argues that it speaks to a much deeper principle, a principle of earning what you consume, respecting intellectual property, and understanding the subtle cumulative impact of one's actions, both on their self-perception of integrity and potentially on their overall financial standing and trajectory. It's about the habits you form.
Right. And what's truly fascinating here is the crucial distinction that needs to be made. On the one hand, you have the act of legitimately leveraging the vast amount of free information and educational resources available online for personal growth. The internet is an absolute treasure trove of invaluable knowledge courses, articles, tutorials, expert interviews that can educate you, provide you with new, valuable skills, and give you a significant boost toward achieving your goals. Utilizing this free information for self-improvement is powerful, ethical, and highly encouraged. However, the perspective presented is unequivocally clear on the other side of the coin. Stealing in any form, whether digital or physical, is fundamentally problematic and should be actively discouraged, both for ethical reasons and for what it says about one's mindset. If you find yourself in a position where you feel you have to resort to stealing basic services like internet, electricity, or entertainment because you genuinely can't afford to pay for them, well, that serves as a clear, undeniable indicator of significant financial struggle. And acknowledging that stark reality honestly is always the first, most crucial step toward fundamentally changing it. Hiding it or justifying theft doesn't solve the underlying problem.
So the path forward isn't finding cleverer ways to get things for free.
Not according to this viewpoint. The legitimate path forward is not through illicit shortcuts or morally ambiguous hacks that might save a few dollars today but erode your integrity. Instead, the recommended path is through consistent hard work, through diligent effort, through strategically leveraging the knowledge and skills you acquire, perhaps using those free online resources, to legitimately and ethically improve your financial standing so you can afford these things. While self-improvement through accessible knowledge is vital and admirable, engaging in theft, even in these seemingly victimless digital forms, demonstrates not only a distinct lack of means, but also potentially fosters a problematic mindset. A mindset that accepts circumventing earned access, fair compensation for creators and providers, and maybe normalizes cutting corners. This isn't just about legality or avoiding getting caught. It's about establishing a foundation of deep personal integrity, of accountability, of genuine self-sufficiency, all of which are presented as essential cornerstones of building true, lasting, respectable wealth and self-worth.
It's a powerful call to action, really, that extends beyond just finances. Use the vast, legitimate knowledge available to you. Use it to work hard, develop skills, and truly earn your way to the right side of the table, as the saying goes, where you genuinely own your success, you can afford what you consume, and it's all built on a solid foundation of integrity. Okay, as we transition into our final section now, the ultimate wealth relationships and legacy, We're going to pivot. We're shifting perspective quite dramatically from the purely financial metrics we've been discussing to something immeasurable, something money can't directly buy, yet something profoundly more valuable and essential to the human experience. This is about the immeasurable value of a loving family and deep connections. The core idea here, sign number 15, is simple in its statement, yet deeply, fundamentally profound in its implications. The sign of not having a loving, truly supportive family or deep, meaningful connections in your life. Let's really try and unpack this with the weight it deserves. Because after all the intensive financial points we've explored today, the buffers, the commutes, the bills, the habits, this one radically shifts our perspective on what wealth truly means. It speaks to a completely different, yet arguably far more significant kind of wealth. It's about the emotional bank account. It's about the bedrock of human experience. And it touches on the very foundation of what makes life feel truly rich, meaningful, and worthwhile.
Absolutely. This really compels us to ask an incredibly important question, maybe the most important one of all. What truly constitutes riches in life at its deepest, most fundamental level? This final point beautifully synthesizes the entire deep dive, I think, by asserting quite unequivocally that there are no greater riches, no more profound form of wealth than a loving, supportive family and genuine, deep human connections. It boldly states, for instance, that it doesn't truly matter how much money you possess in your bank account if you don't get to spend quality, present, engaged time with your children, truly investing in them, helping ensure they grow into incredible, well-adjusted human beings. It suggests it doesn't matter how financially successful you are if, when you fall asleep at night, you don't have someone you truly love to cuddle with, someone with whom you share mutual affection, feeling that profound love unequivocally returned. In these fundamental human ways, the perspective argues, even a billionaire can still be profoundly poor, emotionally impoverished. So emotional resources are the real currency here. Exactly. Emotional resources. Things like unwavering support when you're down, deep belief in your potential even when you doubt yourself, genuine presence and listening when you need to talk, shared laughter that lightens the load, comfort and solace in times of sorrow. Those are incredibly powerful. They are, tragically, often taken for granted when we have them. And their true, incalculable value is frequently only realized, often with immense regret, when they're gone. Or perhaps if they were never there in the first place. This highlights a crucial truth. Even with all the money the world can offer, all the financial security, all the material possessions, without these deep, authentic human connections, you can still be profoundly poor in the most essential, soul-crushing human sense.
Can you give some more examples of these emotional riches?
Sure, think about the exquisite details, the moments that truly matter, the profound joy and sense of purpose derived from spending quality, focused time with your children, actively shaping them, guiding them, simply enjoying their presence as they grow into incredible human beings. Or the deep intrinsic comfort and security of cuddling with someone you truly love, a partner or a spouse, and feeling that love, that connection, reciprocated in every fiber of your being. That sense of belonging, of being truly seen and accepted. Consider the invaluable gift, if you're fortunate enough to still have it, of having parents who are still alive. And not just alive, but having the opportunity to tap into the boundless wisdom, the life experience, the unconditional love they can share if you simply take the time to genuinely listen, connect, and appreciate them while they're here. And then there's the incredible uplifting power of a supportive family, whether biological or chosen, a circle of people who genuinely believe in you unconditionally, who lift you up when you stumble, who cheer your successes with genuine joy, who provide that sense of unwavering belonging. These are the things that money truly cannot buy. You can't purchase genuine love, deep respect, authentic connection, or unwavering belief. People, tragically, often take these blessings completely for granted, only realizing their immense, irreplaceable value after they've been lost through neglect, conflict, or mortality, or, worse, perhaps never having cultivated or experienced them in the first place.
That's such a vital and honestly potentially heart-wrenching reminder for all of us, isn't it? Don't be one of those people who only realizes the immeasurable value of family, of deep connections, of love after it's too late. After those opportunities for connection, for appreciation, for reconciliation perhaps, have irrevocably passed. Instead, maybe the call to action here is to consciously choose, starting right now today, to spend quality time, to put down the phone, to genuinely listen, to truly appreciate the people who form your emotional foundation, your deepest connections, your support system. Give yourself a quiet moment, perhaps after this, to genuinely appreciate how rich you might already be in this vital, non-monetary aspect of life, regardless of the current numbers in your bank account. Acknowledge that wealth. Nurture it. Okay, as we bring this deep dive to a close, we want to leave you with one final, incredibly powerful thought, a thought that really builds on everything we've discussed today, from financial buffers to family bonds, and brings it all into sharp, actionable focus.
Hmm. When we connect this final idea to the absolute biggest picture, the picture of your entire life, your impact, your legacy, it's a profound, undeniable statement on personal agency, on responsibility, and on the ultimate power of individual choice. It highlights a universal truth, doesn't it? No matter your current situation, rich, poor, somewhere in between, no matter the country you happen to live in or the specific circumstances of your upbringing, everyone, without exception, gets the same 24 hours in a day, the great equalizer. Now, while it is undeniably true that you cannot choose your parents or the place where you were born or the initial conditions of your life, those are in many ways accidents of circumstance, the hand you were dealt. You can absolutely and unequivocally choose what you ultimately build with that time, what you strive for, what values you live by, and ultimately what kind of legacy you leave behind. This isn't just presented as, a nice option if you feel like it. It's framed much more strongly as a profound duty, an inherent obligation to yourself, to your potential, and perhaps especially to future generations connected to you.
And the core message summarizing that.
The core message is stark in its simplicity, yet incredibly empowering in its implications. It's a quote that resonates deeply. Being born poor has to do with chance. Dying poor has to do with choice. Let that sink in. Being born poor has to do with chance. Dying poor has to do with choice. It encapsulates this radical idea that while external circumstances may absolutely dictate your starting line in life, and we cannot minimize the very real challenges and inequalities that exist, your decisions, your persistent effort, your resilience in the face of setbacks, and your unwavering commitment to personal growth and self-improvement. These are the factors that will ultimately determine your destination and the legacy you leave behind for others. It's about taking uncompromising ownership of your future. It's about deeply understanding the power to fundamentally change your trajectory, to break negative cycles, to build something greater, something better. That power lies entirely within you, within the choices you make day after day.
Your duty then is clear: to work hard, to make smart choices, to build resilience, and maybe, just maybe, to make sure your children, if you have them, get a better shot, a more advantageous starting point than perhaps you did. So the final provocative thought for you, our listener, is this. What choice will you make today? Right now, as you finish listening, what single action will you take to begin writing the next, more empowered, more prosperous, more connected chapter of your unique story? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into 15 signs you might be financially struggling and what it really means. We truly hope you found it insightful. Maybe, yeah, perhaps even a bit provocative in its bluntness at times. But ultimately, we hope it's deeply inspiring. Inspiring you to spark reflection and, more importantly, to take positive action in your own life. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share if you found this valuable. And thanks for watching this. See you in the next episode for more important ideas.